York's compound?
From what I understand, that may have had something to do with it. If it's African Bambaataa, he must have been in some way influenced by some of the doctrine that York taught in
Well,
some
he
of
he
the
was doing that, but I'm saying did he would have had to go to the compound to get these kids? Or was York supplying, do you think York was supplying Bambaataa with underage boys?
in my opinion, I never seen or heard any evidence like that will support that. No.
Hmm.
But as far as some ritual like that, he would have to have gotten that from York if he was that influenced by him. I really didn't know that much about African Bambaataa. The earliest I came across him was back in the '80s when he had did a song. He did a tune with Johnny Lawton,
You're right.
"Destruction."
Yes.
Yeah, that was my because I honestly I thought he was one of the guys from Sly and Robbie, because he was big like that, and they had that same look. And I really didn't know that much about him other than that video because I had already known about the punks back then. And when they did come, I met him only once. And ironically, that was in D.C. when they had some kind of hip hop summit in D.C. Um, the what I do recall is York had a tendency to come up with a lot of crazy stories. A lot of these weird narratives about ancient Sumer, ancient Egypt, but he never supplied any documentation. No, he never cited a particular text to support a particular idea. So you would have to sum it up as being his little way of crafting an idea and then implementing it on his inner circle. At times, it would be boys, and I do remember there was a lecture that he gave some years back, and it came out in audio. It was wealth, sex, and death, the three principles. And in that, what I'm hearing and some of the things that you describe is like it's lifted directly from that audio when it talks about the robes going back to a place and after certain rituals are conducted, they go back and then they basically get other people or they tap other people to do the same thing. Is that they're passing it on. Um, if I can, where you at? If I
Well,
can share my
yeah, you can do that. I just want to say a couple more things that you can address
Audio.
while. Hmm? What'd you say? Oh, I thought he said I was on mute
Now
or something.
I was telling this audio is breaking up. This audio is breaking up.
Oh, okay.
You're on mute, Nuwabian. Nuwabian, this you're on mute.
Oh, say again.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Chuck, you were on mute. Yeah. So I also want you to talk about how York purposely and you guys, Chuck and I did an interview a long time ago, and it is on my channel. But I also want you to talk about how York purposely went after hip hop artists and what he said his reasoning was. Now, while you're talking about this and what the King of New Jersey is talking about, it's a I'm gonna huh?
Born divine Almighty Allah.
Okay, Born Divine. Okay, is that good? Okay, I like the King of New Jersey. I told somebody
Yeah, King of New Jersey
I
is
said I
cool.
gotta
That's
go
cool.
and call the King of New Jersey. But one thing I'm gonna quote.
Salute to Cross the Plug. He's one of the guys that promote me. He do my shows. He give me clothes to wear, everything. So I want to salute Cross the Plug podcast.
Okay, salute. So one thing I'm going to quote a scripture, but I'm not being religious. It's just a universal principle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In the Holy Quran, where it says that they try to make evil fair seeming. And with that, with Bambaataa having these children, feeding him like that in front of everyone else, and they're not thinking that anything's wrong with it, it's as if he's making evil seem fair seeming, if you understand what I'm saying.
I definitely understand what you're saying. Indeed.
Mhm.
But they always make evil seem like it's righteous when evil's not righteous.
Mhm.
You gotta think about even think about in the Bible. In the Bible, when they brought up Mary. Mary was a whore in the Bible. Now I hope I'm not being too graphic. She was a whore. So they brought her like she was like Jesus' right-hand man. How can you accept a whore, somebody that would cross you as well as the dudes his disciples crossed them? Mary would have crossed them too, because she was about money. It was about gold. So all these books like the Bible, the Holy Quran, the Torah, the books of Latter-day Saints, and all these books, they make black men and black people look like we're the lower form if you do the math and the knowledge to it.
Absolutely.
And
That's
like I
why
said,
it's colorism across the globe. It's colorism around the globe. The dark skin, there's dark skinned people all over the place. But go right ahead, Chuck, and talk about how York was purposely targeting the hip hop community as you're explaining this other thing.
There was an audio, and there was a few of them, but one in particular, the Nubian Nation. On that, he talked about, or he walked down the road that various entertainers like Kwame, Public Enemy, Shafi, different people, quote,
Sadiq
were
Ali,
rapping messages. Huh?
Sadiq Ali,
So he's
Tribe
mentioning
Called
these
Quest.
people.
Yeah.
He's mentioning these individuals, and yeah, because they also recorded in York's studio with that album that Afrika Bambaataa put out. Yeah, so he was talking about how through music they were able to reach various people. Matter of fact, he said, "quote I saw how Marvin Gaye was able to reach more people than an imam did on a Friday khutbah at Juma or something like that." And he made it the point that he took it upon himself to get to know a Jazzy Jeff. He took it upon himself to know an Afrika Bambaataa. He said that the Afrika Bambaataa and the Zulu nation are now part of the Nubian nation because they came down here and took all their shahadas. You know, so he was trying to lay down the picture that the Zulu nation and the Nubian nation were now unified as one body.
They were, because I'm just going to jump in here and then you can continue, because on the Zulu side, the Zulu nation's teachings, thank you to Cuban Crisis and quite a few other people who have educated me on this, I have their books. And Bambaataa, they stole also Born Divine from the Zulu nation, stole from the 5% Nation, from the Nation of Islam, and all these other schools of thought, and include Noble Drew Ali and everybody else. And they stole from I won't even say stole from the Nubians. I would say infused the Zulu nation with the Nubian teachings. Bambaataa spent a lot of time with the Nubians. I have a whole section on how close they got when the change happened, when he started to wear the garb. Daddy-O from Stetsasonic, before Daddy-O introduced Bambaataa to Malachi York at one of those music conferences at the Marriott Marquis in Manhattan. Bambaataa was wearing the African garb and all of that, but after he met York, he changed into the Ankh and all the rest of this stuff. And yes, York purposely went after people in hip hop. And I know some people who went over to that place in Bushwick of the Nubians, and if they had a meeting scheduled with York and they were there waiting for him, because he was waving money around, like, and they had all these, remember at that time hip hop was very prolific, and the brothers and sisters were trying to take control of their music and money and things like that. So York had York Studios, and they were trying, this whole do for self thing was there. And so when one,
one second. I want to say one thing.
I'm
The do
almost
for
done.
self.
I'm
All right.
I'm done
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
sorry.
I'm done right
All
now.
right, go
I'm done
ahead.
right
I'm
now.
sorry.
I just wanted to say that York would, if people were there waiting for him, he would come out of a back room with an erection. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I'm part of self, but I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom off point. But the do for self, how you know he stole from the Nation of Islam, 5% Nation. The do for self came from the Nation of Islam, NOI and FOI.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That do for self was like, we gotta do for ourselves because nobody else will do for us. These other, like, even like right now, I work a regular job too, you know what I'm saying? I'm not rich, you know what I'm saying? Anything in that measures. But I work and I work with Puerto Ricans that's from Puerto Rico that wasn't born in America. That wasn't born in like Jersey, New York, or Philly. They came here. It's a difference how they treat us than the ones that was born and raised with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difference how the Mexicans treat us than the ones that was born and raised with us. So you know it's going to be a difference by how the whites treat us than the ones that's in our cipher. So when we say do for self, that do for self came from us doing for self because nobody else would do for us. Everybody turned their backs on us, like the little hats, the Spaniards, the Italians, the Sicilians. You know what I mean? Even the African, the little hats. I don't know. You know what the little hat is. I don't want to.
I know.
And even the Africans and the Haitians at one point. I grew up with a lot of Haitians where I'm from, and I didn't see that. But when the Haitians started coming from Haiti, they started coming at us. It was killing American black-born men, and nobody was saying that. They would just go back to their country. You know what I'm saying? So it was supposed to be do for self. It was supposed to be all of us for each other.
I understand.
And, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I was in the Nation of Islam from 17 years old. I'm not in the nation now, but I was born and raised the 120, all do for self, the messages, books, all that, everything. So, so Chuck, please go right ahead and continue this, please.
Well, at what point? Because
I want to talk about. Oh, you may have already done this, and I just kept talking about York targeting these hip hop people. I mean, I've done so much research, and we have this on the podcast. We have it on Chuck's interview. But another thing, I'm just going to jump in one more time, Chuck, is this whole teaching on Amun, because Afrika Bambaataa took the title of the Amun-Ra of hip hop, of universal hip hop culture. That is all loaded language. And what he was talking over our heads. And Mickey Benson at their Bambaataa's recent comeback called him the Amun-Ra of hip hop culture again in front of everyone. And that teaching of Amun-Ra comes from Malachi York. And I'm going to let Chuck explain it. But in essence, it is where York is talking about the god Amun and how the male priest of Amun had intercourse with him to prove their loyalty. And that is what Afrika Bambaataa, in my opinion, was doing with young boys and adults of age men in the Zulu nation. It was he spared no one. When you hear people say, "Oh, he never did that to me," I find that hard to believe. And when I see the Zulu nation all together at these things, a camera should show what goes through my mind when I see these guys. Okay, take it away, Chuck.
So, if I can, I'll just share my screen real briefly. In an article that I did some years back, was Malachi York sexual molestation of male children in the Nubian cult based on his twisted interpretation of an Egyptian's homosexual ritual? All right. I try to cover and bring it down to a point where people can understand that the base of the themes of the storyline comes from York's idea of Ankh-Atun or Akhenaten, because in the lecture, because we did a transcript of it, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to get to some of the key points. Well, when you start talking about Akhenaten and his desire to move the obelisk, you're talking about the obelisk as a symbol of a penis of the god Men. All right. And Men took himself in hand, or he masturbated, and he spurt forth, and he spurt forth was sperm cells as the original tadpole. So he goes into these little almost like he's drifting off into something else, and then he comes back in. So he's talking about sperm being the cells as the original tadpoles, and it went into the seeds, and it came out in the primordial egg later, and went into the sky, and as a Ra, and gave birth to the sun, and these being symbolic stories. Although, so now Akhenaten, right, was a hermaphrodite. Now he's saying that Akhenaten, even though uh, Akhenaten was a hermaphrodite, he was a homosexual, for lack of a better word, and he was intimidated by the obelisk symbol of a penis and decided that it should be removed from his kingdom. Now, of course, when he's giving these lectures, there's no he's never showing you any he's not citing an inscription, he's not citing uh any book that explains this where it can be further elaborated on, analyzed, scrutinized, investigated. None of this stuff. So
Well,
this is just
that's
coming
how
from him.
yeah,
Hold on.
that's how cult leaders are. So I don't want to do a deep dive into their teachings like that, because it just becomes mishmash in my head. Chuck, are you muted again?
Chuck, you're muted.
Chuck. He's not looking.
He's not looking. Oh, you're muted.
He is in a zone. Okay, well, hopefully he will
I'll get out the zone soon.
He is gone. Okay. So anyway, Born Divine, anything else that you want to say about this? I just wanted to bring up a few special things without, I don't really want to do a deep dive into York's teaching, because it's just a bottomless
like I said, York, I do not respect York teaching away.
Me either.
And so I don't even really.
Chuck I can text him. I'm gonna mute myself. Go ahead, King. Right. Hold it down.
All right. I don't really like to give Dr. Malachi Pork that knowledge. I don't like people to see him. I don't talk about them, because once you start talking about people, you bring light to what they're saying, what they was doing. But I'm gonna say one thing. Dr. Malachi York's son, Dr. Malachi York Pork's son, said that he molested him too. So you mutilate him. So why would we believe or follow anything he said?
Yes, his son did say that. Yes, he did.
And brother Polite and Afrika Bambaataa and a lot of these how you call pro-white, pro-black, pro-righteous individuals, they did the same thing, and no one never said anything until they got called up for it.
I'm gonna take him down, because maybe he doesn't realize me when I do that. He might realize it. Poor Chuck.
Yo, Chuck into it. But like I said, with me, no matter what, I could never follow another man to my downfall, my death. So a lot of men that follow York, and I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna keep it 100%. I feel as though they're weak men. They're followers. They never was leaders. Like, I never followed the Bible. I never followed the structure of the Quran, like, as a religion. I never followed any of that, because I could never have no other man have control over my mental. And how can I follow that when you got your members doing Scientology, getting your brain scrubbed, have to do lie detector tests? And that's why a lot of brothers from the Nation of Islam departed from the Nation of Islam when they picked up that Scientology. And I'm gonna be honest, where I'm from, Scientology was born and raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Y'all can do the research for that. That comes from Elizabeth, New Jersey. A bunch of Caucasians trying to mentally manipulate young black youth and women. They can't do it to the men, so they did it to the youth and women. Because the men were strong in their spot. And I don't mean to take over your show. I appreciate
it's all good. And believe me, I have gone down. We are just meeting each other, honey. And if you only knew that how look, Chuck is still on one. Oh my God.
Chuck, hit your mic, bro.
So I guess, would you like to take calls or have people come up or
yeah. People can call or come up and ask me questions. Like I said, I'm bodyguard for a lot of celebrities, even Diddy.
Yeah.
In 2007 and 2013. And I've seen a lot of stuff with him. And I don't know if you seen my show I did earlier.
I did.
We was talking about it, and I told him, I was like, the only reason I knew that them men was women, the women was men in Atlanta, is because I had to check their ID when it came to the VIP to make sure it was of age. And then their face suit and their bodies look totally different from what their name was. They looked like LaQuisha or Shaniqua, but their name was Laquan or Sharik on their IDs.
Yeah.
And when I started seeing that, I'm gonna say one story. Exhibit came up to the VIP, and me and Exhibit know each other because I used to be Dad's diligence bodyguard too.
Oh, okay.
Me and Exhibit know each other. Me and Dad's is like this. He's God body. He's a 5%.
Oh, okay.
So me and Exhibit was talking. He's like, "Yo, God." He's like, "Boy, who's in there?" I'm like, "Yo," I was like, "A bunch of hard legs." Exhibit's like, "What you mean?" I'm like, "Yes, see." 5 minutes later, Exhibit walked back out to the balcony of the VIP. Was like, "Yo, I'm standing out here with you." I was like, "Why you say that?" He was like, "You was right."
Sorry about that.
Right.
I got Chuck on.
No, because my audio went out. I had some bad backup.
Born Divine, I'm sorry about that. I missed that. I finally got Chuck on the line.
You mean to tell me the whole time I was reading, I was
mute? You was mute, man.
We were saying, I was like
this. I was waving at you. We both waving at you.
Hold on.
No. I kept bringing you up and taking you down. Look,
hold on.
The chat is laughing.
God.
It's okay. It's okay, but I didn't want to do a deep dive. Yeah, I didn't want to do a deep dive into his teachings anyway, honestly. I was just wanting us to compare the Afrika Bambaataa and this situation with Red Alert and those children to the current situation of Diddy and all the other ones where we have learned you cannot have long-term abuse going on without enablers, without people knowing about it.
Right.
That's true.
Well, to try to sum it up in a nutshell, what he was saying about, or what you were saying, talking about the white robes, that's what he was talking about these priests of Amun were wearing, and that he was claiming that Nefertiti was, one of her names was the hand of God, and it was her job to masturbate him, to get him to an erection, and then these priests would come in, and once he's erected, the priests would come in, they would straddle themselves on this individual as a ritual, and then once he ejaculated in them, they became they became one because that was their covenant. They didn't see it as being homosexual because to them it was a ritual and a new covenant of loyalty. And when they would leave the temple, they would go back and form new temples and new priests doing the same ritual. That's what York said in the Sex, Wealth, and all
right, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, brother. Do you ride with what York was saying? Not believing that was do you ride with York, Dr. Malachi Pork was saying, and believing that wasn't homosexual tendencies, and that was just their way of life?
What he illustrated in the presentation, what he was saying, that was homosexual. That was homosexual.
There you go. No, bro. Power to the people, bro. I had to make sure.
He was using, and he was spreading that. And if Afrika Bambaataa heard that, which I'm sure he did because that audio went out and it was popular, then it's safe to conclude that he went on and tried to emulate or imitate what York was saying, that as a priest of Amun, they would leave out and go out and form new groups like that and perform those same rituals. And because it involved, you know,
Okay.
I can only conclude that to be the case.
Stand by, Aton. I just want to say, if I wasn't clear, that Chuck Morgan is a former member of the Nuwabians. He left that cult.
No, I heard you, but I was just asking a
He has
question.
a whole. Okay, yeah. And I also want to go back to your question, because that is also a line that Afrika Bambaataa has allegedly used with his victims, where he says, you know, when he's trying to get the kids to do this, but this doesn't mean you're gay. You know, this doesn't mean you're gay.
Exactly.
And I am of the opinion, you know, I'm sorry to anybody, but I better not go there. Let me just bring
no. Go ahead, say what you want to say. We need all the knowledge and understand.
I just want to say this: women, man and woman, right? As far as creation goes, that's creation, right? Man and woman. So what I want to say is that a woman is the default. Like, so if you are a man and you're indulging with other men, you are homosexual. You're not bisexual, because women are the natural default. Like, women are like, it's just it's the sun and the moon. Like, it's just the natural default. So if you are engaging with someone of the same sex, you are homosexual, and that's all I just want to say. And I'm gonna
hold on. Let me say one thing about it. Let me say one thing about it.
Whole video.
Let me say one thing about it. I'm gonna say one thing about that. I always told people that men can never be bisexual because a man is the sun. We got the XY chromosome. Women only got one chromosome, and the women are emotional. They can feel a certain way for a man the same as they feel for women. But if a man feel that way, that's showing his feminine side, as we say. It's not no even thing with that. If you're a man, you say you're bisexual, you're a homosexual. If you're a woman, you say you're bisexual, you can really be bisexual because of all that estrogen you got. You love both. And I don't know if it's right, because I know some women might not feel like that, but I know a lot of women do. I know more women feel like that than men. More men say, if a man says he's bisexual, he's gay, than a woman says she's bisexual, she's gay. They won't say that. They accept more. Women accept more than men. That's all.
Well, the thing is that this society, being homosexual was never a problem until men started doing it on TV. Y'all never had a problem as long as it was women on women. Nobody had a problem with it. But as soon as as soon as they showed two men kissing on television, oh my God, Chicago almost went up in flames. But I'm going to bring our next guest. Okay.
Can I say something before you go, though?
About that?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's something that it's relevant to the point.
Okay.
Okay. In the book Sex Life of a Muslim, right? York says this, and I'm sure Afrika Bambaataa read this. All right. There are two types of homosexuals. The first type is called functional. They accept the fact that they desire the same sex and continuously seek new liaisons. Then there are the closet couple who prefer monogamous relationships. They are opt to have fewer partners. The second type of homosexual consists of a group who are not part of the so-called gay world. They are selective about their identity, and this is why they are called closet queens. Most are married and have families.
If you don't stop teaching us York's, if you don't stop quoting this ninja,
I thought that
you don't stop quoting this cult leader. No,
I have to, because it incriminates him.
No, it does.
It incriminates him.
It does incriminate him. Keep it real, yeah.
So this other person is from the Bronx, and he used to do some of those flyers that you all, not you all, but you know, that people had on in Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and other places. Aton Edwards. He's also head of the International Preparedness Network, where they get you ready for these man-made and natural disasters and wars, and what to have in your house, how to use a firearm, and all kinds of other things. So he's also part of Hip Hop Stands with Survivors. So welcome, Aton, and we welcome you to change the subject immediately.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not going to delve into any of that at all. Right. I'm going to just.
I'm going to edit that whole piece out.
I'm going to 100 and move forward. But I do want to say something. One of the things that caught my attention, with the brothers that we're talking when you're discussing the details about Dr. York, MR.EASTWICK, and some of the insanity that I used to see.
MR.EASTWICK is also Malachi York.
Malachi York, Dr. York, right? And I also watched his trajectory from the beginning, and knowing a number of different people who were part of the Nubian nation, right? So I've watched it grow from the beginning when he had people on the New York City subways that would sell incense and oil, and then they would retreat to Bushwick, and they would get whatever public assistance would go to him, whatever stuff that they would get would all go to him. And, for a while, it seemed to be a positive situation. But then as it grew, I can remember that the sinister stuff started happening. I went to visit a friend who was in the actual nation in Bushwick. And I can remember how he had a beautiful wife, and his wife had been summoned to Dr. York, and how upset he was and how flummoxed he was because this guy's summoning my wife for what, and then also a number of people who interfaced with him, and one particular person that wonderful, beautiful sister, young sister who wanted a music career, and we warned her against going up there, and unfortunately she also fell victim to him as well. And so I was listening to this, and outside of the context that you guys were talking about before.
I just want to say, Aton, that they always start out well, because these are con artists, and York thought up the Nubian hustle while he was locked up. Okay, but go right ahead.
Sure. And of course, and con artists who have like a pathway, who want a pathway to fame, right? I mean, you can even look at, like, I look at him like I look at, Margie, what is her name? She's a Republican, the Marjorie, I can't think of her name, Marjorie something. She's a blonde, and people make fun of her. They called her bad built butch.
Taylor Green.
Yeah, Marjorie, there you go. She started out as a performer. She went and auditioned for American Idol and lost, and was trying to get herself into the public eye through her performances. And then ultimately she got into politics, where it was someplace where she could actually put herself on a large platform. And in a lot of cases, I think that a guy like Dr. York and a number of others did a lot of these things because they wanted a platform. At the end of the day, Dr. York wanted to be a musical star. He wanted to be a celebrity. He wanted to be someone famous. And this was a vehicle to get him famous, and it worked. And then once you give people power to kind of like hold station over other people, as they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So one thing leads to another. And, the brother goes from trying to be a recording star to being a god, right? A demigod on earth, and people coming and genuflecting before him, and giving
he has
him
erections while people are waiting for their meetings.
Right, giving him their money, self-titled God, where now people are coming to you for advice. They're offering you their wives. They're offering you everything that they have because they believe you to be some sort of a semi-deity or whatever. And you're sitting up there counting the money that they're giving you. And with each dollar that you get, with each stroke of power that you receive, that's even more, you just get higher and higher. You buy land in Atlanta. I mean, it just got crazy for those of us who are watching it. And I can see how a guy like somebody's black when his music was trash. Yeah, it was, but it didn't really matter. He was famous. And this is in a lot of cases, and I think that a lot of these people.
Some of these comments I can't put on the screen, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of cases, I think a lot of these people do stuff to get fame, and then once they get it, then they go berserk. You know,
Yeah,
now in
so-
knowing Bam, like again, my relations with Bam that I had with interacting with Bam were like strictly professional on a friendship level. I never saw anything around Bam that was suspicious, like in that respect. I knew nothing. We would just talk about this is what we need to do. We need to get the Zulu Nation ready. We need to get the Zulu Nation prepared. We need to get the Zulu Nation this, that, the other thing. And then one day someone comes to me in 2014 and tells me something. I had an event at the New York City Comic Con, and it was one particular Zulu Nation member who was actually in the event. And they told, don't keep those Zulus away from your stuff, Aton. Do not put those Zulus in. Why is that? Because this is what these Zulus do. They're a bunch of, I'm not even going to repeat the word, but you know, it begins with an F and ends with an S. And, you know, they that's what they're a bunch of, and this is what they be doing, Aton. And he lived in River Park Project, so he knew all of them. And he said, you can't have them so-and-sos around you, Aton. You crazy. Don't put that so-and-so in your, and I'm just like, wow. And I took it to an associate and I asked him, should we put him in? Put the guy in, and I didn't believe it at the time. And then came Star, and then came Layla with the information. And it was just like, once that happened, then it expanded. But I wanted to tell you guys that we're all susceptible to these hucksters in our community, and they're all phonies. And this goes from the TD Jakeses and the power preachers and the abundance people straight on down the line to the Reverend Ikes that were picking our pockets. And the fact of the matter is that this is par for the course. And it's just, I just want to know from you guys, when do you think that we are going to wake up and not continually fall for this madness from these people who really only have their own empowerment in mind?
All right. I want to speak on it because I'm a black man in America. And like I said, I was born and raised in the 5% nation of God's and nerves. I never fell for none of the trickery because my father, my father was a minister in the Malcolm X and Clarence 13 Vex in Temple No. 7, New York, Harlem, and Temple 25 in New Jersey, and the Temple 12 in Philly. My father told me from the beginning, he's like, I do not want you to be a part of the Nation of Islam. He's like, because you're stronger and you're better than that. My father started there. My father introduced me to God Sham Godfather in Harlem. He went over my lessons when I was 12 years old. And I never followed anyone, any mystery being, any other man, because I realized that a black man, when you look in the mirror, when you see the mirror, you see God. You see the original man. There's no mystery who you are. I remember being my grandmother's house. I got uncles that are bishops. I got like 4 uncles that are bishops, uncles that are priests and everything. I mean, ministers, everything. And they knew not to bring none of that to me. They never try to sneak pork on me or any of that because they realized, even with like the Masons, they realize who the true living God is. So they're going to respect you and they're going to show you the proper, how you say it? They're going to show you the proper respect, period. They're not going to try to dissuade you. They're 10%ers, but they're 10%ers, what they call bloodsuckers or the poor, the people who don't know. If you don't know, then that's your fault because you should know. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, I want to say that I tell all my young ones don't join anything, and if anything, I do encourage them to study under someone, but I'm not going to go into what I mean by that, but that's it. Like, I think it's going to be, I don't know when the cult thing is going to be over, Aton, honestly. But I want to say that how many parties do we think Bambaataa was showboating these children, and how many people in hip hop have seen this go on in hip hop, on airplanes, at hotels, and everywhere else? And what happened to CFO? You see what I'm saying? Like these things are going on. Like I always say that Marcy Hamilton from Child USA, that the pedophiles have a universe. They have a world going on right in front of us that we do not see. And in Born Divine's case, he saw that. But look at how many times Red Alert and the rest of them have probably been around that.
Yeah, but you know what, Layla? Let me interject something, and it's something that we as men have to discuss. And there's an aspect of male culture that is extremely toxic, right? That we're only beginning to address, like, let's say, over the past maybe 20 or 30 years. Now, I'm not one of these people. Please, for everybody who listens to this, just understand I am not one of these kinds of like liberal folk that are all about the soft life, right? I'm a harsh life type of a guy. Layla knows that. But on the other hand, there's an aspect of the male culture that all of us men have to we have to approach, and we have to question, that is extremely misogynistic and extremely brutal. And in the way that we speak of women, the way that we speak of sex, the way that we move on ourselves. I can remember when I was a young boy, and I was told something by the father of one of my dearest friends, even to this day. And it had to do with women and sex. And he said something about young women, and to kind of maybe diminish the nastiness. It was basically his idea about dealing with a younger woman. He felt that it was okay that, oh, Kim, what's going on? There's now somebody that I have known since I was a kid, and she knows exactly who I'm talking about. This is one of my dearest friends, right?
I do, Kim.
So one of the things that he said was about having sex with younger men. If they're old enough, if they're menstruating, then they're old enough to have sex with, right? And I even thought that at the time, I thought that the remark was crude. I was about 17 years old when I heard it. I thought that the remark was crude, and I even thought the remark was kind of base and disgusting, but we laughed at it because that's part of the male culture. You're not really supposed to point that kind, especially back then, that you see kind of stuff like that happening. And there have been many times in my life where I've seen questionable things or heard questionable things, and you never know what the balance is to say, like, I've never allowed anybody to be harmed in front of me. I could tell you straight up. I one time heard a woman on 38th Street coming off of 6th Avenue back in the 80s, and heard a woman actually getting mugged or raped or whatever in a subway station, went down and physically confronted the guy, beat the living what out of him. And when I say I beat this cat up, it was a scary situation because it was dark. I almost took his life. Let me put it to you like that. So I would never let a woman deal with that kind of thing. But I'm saying that us as men, we got to deal with the toxic aspect of our culture that allows us to sometimes look the other way and pretend that something isn't happening when somebody says or does something that we fully well know is wrong.
Well, I'm going to bring on Cuban Crisis in just a moment. One thing I will say about these cults and organizations, which I have studied a lot, and I told you guys that I may do a separate YouTube channel talking about these cults, and the Black Muslim Bakery in Oakland, and the Black Mafia from Philly, the Zulu Nation in Philly, the Yahweh Ben Yahweh's cult, and a lot of these groups.
I live in Philly, so...
Okay, here's a warning sign. Here's a warning sign is that the days of the benevolent one person rule should be over, and you should be finding that. That's why I always tell people to take ownership of your life, take ownership of the earth and the air and everything else, and then you won't look to someone else like they are your deity. But what my point is, and then I'll pass it, is that when there is no balance, so a man, and I'm going to just be a little just kind of raw right now, is that when you have a little boy, right, and a little boy discovers his new friends at a certain age, that new friend becomes like, whoa, what's happening here, kind of thing, right? And that becomes a driving force for everything with some men. And if you are a leader, and you don't have your other half, that is not balanced. Like, it's only so long. That's why even when you run for president and things like that, they want somebody that's married. They want somebody, you know. So I hope you all get what I'm saying by that. And it goes for women too. It goes for women too.
Let me interject something here. I'm gonna give all of the brothers here an example of what I'm talking about, right? So, you know, I go up on the web and I listen to YouTube. You always for you, and then I also see, you know, the SpongeBob guy, right? The mushmouth guy that talks about trash. You know, he looks like he's right out of SpongeBob's patch.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Right. Let's say you look at the screen and it almost looks like you can smell him from the YouTube. He's just
he got grandma arms.
Yeah, he's just an absolute mess and a disgusting mess.
Yeah.
And I had listened to a number of his rants lying about you, just this constant rant. I've listened to him. And one of the things that he said, some of the things that he says are so base and so foul. But yet and still, I don't see people in his chat. I don't see these brothers, the men who were there, checking him and saying, you know what, you need to kind of like dial that back. And we think we can stand by and laugh. And I saw the dude defile even the Black Panther Party, right? That you are proudly not only a Black Panther cub, but you've been part of it for all of your life, and your parents are Black Panthers. And when I listen to that guy just befoul you and to attack you in that way as a man doing this to a woman, I want to know, where are the men that are stepping up to draw the boundaries in the line to say you're going too far, even within the context of his own situation? They actually, this is what I'm talking about with our culture.
There are men who do that. They've blocked all the men, but
they blocked all the men.
They've blocked them all. They've blocked, like I could go in my chat right now and I could just block everybody. Like that's what they do if somebody speaks knowledge over there.
Well, yeah, but some of the things that he said, if there were men, I mean, I'm not in New York, but there were men like the kind that I grew up with back in the day, then really the brother wouldn't even be able to step foot in the street before.
Well, that's the thing. I don't care about YouTube. That's what I'm talking about. Excuse me. Anyway, let's move on.
Us men, we got to get it together. Us men, we're the ones who have to kind of fix our own situation. That's what I basically want to interject.
Okay, and we would like to welcome the former national, I believe, spokesman of the Universal Zulu Nation. He resigned from the Zulu Nation before these allegations came out, and he has been he's been very much involved with Hip Hop Stands with Survivors, even before we had our name, and we confer on a lot of things. And I thank you, Brother Malik, for everything that you do, and our laughs and jokes and everything. So welcome.
Thank you. Peace to everybody. Especially shout out to Chuck Morgan. Chuck Morgan is my master teacher of the Nuwapian theology. That's a joke. But whatchamacallit, no, I didn't resign. I didn't resign.
You did not?
No. I just, the first week of May 2015, I walked out the Universal meeting and that was it.
Okay. My
resignation was my middle finger. Whatchamacallit, we were talking the other day and I just wanted to speak on something because I heard the brother King of New Jersey say Dr. Pork. So Layla and I were talking the other day.
And King of New Jersey, we're going to keep calling you that too, but I'm going to get both of y'all for what he's about to say. And Born Divine, also King of New Jersey, is going to hold me down. Y'all keep going and I'll be right back. Go right ahead, Brother Malik.
Yeah, so the reason I called this guy Dr. Pork, because Layla felt that I say it and it's sarcasm, but like it's never explained. So number one,
let me say peace to you, brother, because I know what you're about to say, because we're on the same wavelength right now.
All right, peace, brother. So yeah, York rhymes with pork. All right. His cult ideology from the inception has been unclean, right? So Dr. Pork you know, where somebody used to always get into about the pig, the origin of the pig, right? So according to York report, what's his name? Zozar grafted
What is his real name?
Imhotep.
His birth name?
Imhotep.
Imhotep. It was
Yeah.
Imhotep. Okay, so yeah, it was this story he got about Imhotep and taking different animals. So he basically did a spin off of Elijah Muhammad's teaching on the pig.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I call him Dr. Pork and the Porkians.
And he also stole from Father Allah, Clarence 13th Vex too. He stole more Father Allah lessons than he did Elijah Muhammad's, because we all know, understand that Elijah Muhammad was just another form of Dr. Pork, as I'm saying. And I'm saying this because I was born and raised in the Nation of Islam. So I understand and know what I'm dealing with. And I got a lot of brothers that are real tight to me that are still a part of the Nation of Islam, because they don't see what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody third eye isn't open to technology.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of technology in a lot of these nations. The rules they give you is the same rules they don't follow themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I never could. Like I said, I was always a black sheep. Anything I did with my family, I was a black sheep. I was the biggest kid in my family. I was the most outspoken in my family. I was the most wildest in my family. So my little cousins and little siblings looked up as to me like I knew exactly what I was doing when I didn't. It took me years to understand that they were feeding us poison. Dr. Pork was feeding us poison. Them lessons that he was preaching was poison to the youth. A lot of things that Elijah Muhammad was preaching was poison to the youth. Because as we grown men sitting here now thinking about it, how many of us will lay down with a 15 or 16-year-old young lady and impregnate them? I know I wouldn't. Eitan Edwards, I believe he wouldn't. My brother Chuck, I don't believe he would. Cuban Crisis, he wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that I'm even with Malcolm X. My father, Malcolm X, was like this. I learned about the stories from Malcolm X through my father at a young age. And what was going on, my father told me, my old God told me what was going on. He let me know that the NOI wasn't right and exact. That Elijah Muhammad. I knew Elijah Muhammad was sleeping with young girls when I was 10 years old. My father told me. So when the movie came out with Malcolm X, even though it was loosely based on Malcolm X's life, it wasn't all 100% facts. I picked out the best part for self, as we all should. When we dealing with religions, cultures, and things like that, you pick the best part for self, and you build and add on to that. And that's what I did. That's what I believe you brothers did. That's why y'all not a part of the New Wabi Nation anymore. And I respect you for that. You stand up individuals for that. I'm glad you finally seen it, because a lot of people are still deaf, dumb, and blind. When I say deaf, dumb, and blind, I mean deaf because they can't hear the truth, blind because they can't see the truth, and dumb because they speak something that's not the truth. Brothers, go ahead. I want to hear y'all speak, because I love a panel of brothers speaking truth. Cuban Crisis. All right. Nuwabian.
Well, I don't
What's
know.
your thoughts?
It's just what you said as far as being deaf, dumb, and blind. I mean, I was there. So when I see people, I was just listening to some of this stuff this morning, how anybody at this point in 2024 still take that doctrine or even the man himself serious. I think that either they need some counseling, or they're just willfully
That's
looking
true.
to have something done to them or doing something to someone else, because with all the evidence, all the facts, all the testimonies, all the people who've come forward that were even at the trial that said nothing happened, that turned around and after he was safely tucked away, they said they lied by protecting him. It's some kind of mad delusionalism going on, some kind of weird cognitive dissonance. I don't. It's on a grand scale, but then again, it's just fractions at this point because the cult is broken up into so many different forms. Is one group is against another group who's turning on this one. The children are turning on the organizations. It's just crazy.
And it's even more crazy, like Chuck talked about, like there's basically sects, right? That all claim they adhere to the teachings of Dr. Port.
Right.
So you got people that stuck in the Ansar days. They never transitioned to the Nubian Islamic Hebrews. So from the Nubian Islamic Hebrews to right knowledge, or from right knowledge to Nuwapians, and then to what they call now Sabian. So it's like it's discombobulated. It's all over the place. Something I was going to ask Chuck. The thing that Pork said about Lance Taylor years ago, that was on the green tape, the green light, when he called
the True Light tapes.
Okay. Could you tell, just for like a point of reference, something that's ironic in this, being that Lance like wants to emulate this dude, he wants to be him, but his prior comment from years ago, if you could tell the people about that.
Which one? Which one?
The comment in regards to it was called him the F word, or it was making comment on his.
Oh, you talking about what I think that was Jacob York that was pointing that out. He was on
Jacob,
Star.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, he was on Star in the morning. I have that on my YouTube channel. That audio, at least, because they flagged the video, but I do have the audio up now. And you can get more, because what Star had done was he was having him interviewed regarding an incident that took place with X Clan, certain members of that group, and there was an individual that I don't know if she wrote a book about it or a lawsuit, but Jacob came on and was the conversation just turned over into Jacob's father and some of the things that he witnessed, what his role was in trying to help those survivors survive York. And as I always say, there are three people that are the most hated in all the Nuwapian cults, each whatever denomination, fraction or splinter, is Jacob York is number one. He's number one hated. Nikki Lopez, and then myself. And I'm still striving to get to the number one level so I can really start inflicting some pain on him. But Jacob in that discussion goes into great deal about Afrika Bambaataa, what he knew, what the people who were part of that at the time knew, and that connection with York and his organization.
I would like to just jump in and invite another guest, a very special person who has been a very big help and is very knowledgeable. I don't know how much I should reveal, so I'm just going to bring him up right now and allow him to introduce himself, because I could do a full intro, but I don't know what I should say and not say. Uh-oh. Big dog, where you at?
Yeah, I'm here, sis. Peace, everyone. You could give the intro.
Okay.
I got no disrespect. I'm not turning on my camera. I got my little one running around.
Okay,
so,
that's no problem. So I don't know if you may not know that voice, but this person, he actually was in charge. He's former Zulu, and he had a youth chapter. Excuse me. And he's very protective over those children. And when the allegations came out, he dismantled those children, that chapter, and he you know, they were collecting dues, the Zulu Nation, from all the chapters. And instead of helping these children, like with their homework, like he was doing and other things, they were actually hustling these kids out of money. He also came out on and I interviewed him, and so did several other people, and you've seen him a few times on Hassan's channel, and I'm talking about the one and only Brother T. Brother T actually put hands on Afrika Bambaataa, and I'm just going to throw this in, but come back to this story about Brother T. He wasn't the only one, but Afrika Bambaataa got touched a few times. It's just not publicized. But Brother T was they were all hanging at this apartment after or on their way or to a party or something was going on. And it was a lot of people. And remember, Afrika Bambaataa's apartment in Bronx River had DJ equipment. It had a weight room. They had movies, and it was just everything anybody would want, especially children. And Brother T walked in on Afrika Bambaataa abusing an underage boy. He was a teenager, but he was underage. And Brother T went off and beat the living, you know what, out of Afrika Bambaataa, where they had to pull him off. Brother TC Islam was downstairs. I interviewed TC, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know about that incident. I remember." And in a normal case like that, Brother T would have got dealt with by the Zulu Nation for touching Afrika Bambaataa, but they didn't do anything to Brother T. So welcome, Brother T, and thank you for joining us, and jump right in with whatever you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so
Peace to the man.
peace.
And he's God body also.
Peace to the God.
Peace. So you know, to fill in what Layla just said. Yeah, that situation did happen. Ahmed did confirm that situation with Star. You know, but Ahmed's excuse was he don't remember what the fight was about. Okay. Going back within Zulu, mid-90s, Bam was trying to push Nuwabian shit in Zulu. We had a lot of meetings during those times about adding into it, but a lot of us, you know, chapter presidents were like, nah, we ain't feeling that. So the late 90s, when a lot of us chapter leaders were leaving, we just said, fuck this. I mean, you know, excuse my language. We just said the hell with this because we ain't see any movement. We ain't see nothing going on with the community. You know, like Layla said, you know, I had a chapter of the babies. Okay. Within my chapter was I spoke to the parents. I would go to these kids' schools. If one was failing in a grade, if this other kid was in the same school with them and he's passing in that class, yo, you tutoring him. I made sure they were scared of me than they were their own parents, because my job was to make sure they weren't another statistic out in the streets. But they were trying to hustle me for dues on that, and I totally fought them all the time I was there. I fought them on that. You ain't getting dues from them. You know, so you know, that's it on that. But like I stated, it was after the fact that like myself left. A few other chapters dissolved themselves from a lot of the stuff that was going on. Bam got that whole Nuwabian shit into Zulu.
Yeah, I don't know when I stepped away if you all covered when Afrika Bambaataa changed the Zulu Nation into a religious organization. He also changed his the trademark Zulu Nation and his own trademark for his name to include religious services.
Yeah.
He made the chapter leaders. I don't know if you were still there at this time, Brother T. He made them all ministers. And TC Islam thought it was a way for him to hide his money, but it was also he was going full-fledged cult leader. Go right ahead.
Well, that's during that time, even during like 96, 97, when he was pushing it, he was talking about 503 seniors. Okay, he was talking about pushing this as a whole religion, and it's not a religion. This is a culture. It's a culture of an attitude. It's street culture. We're not a religious organization. Never were.
Yeah. It was a
You know,
hip-hop awareness group. That's how it was built.
you know, it was
in the beginning.
to not let happen what happened during the 70s. That's what it was about. Okay, because I could go back to the All God Body division that was inside Zulu. Because that's where Bam stole the 5% stuff, you know, the lessons from. Was that whole thing, and the beef between the nation and Zulu happened to be in 1984. Beach Street comes out. Everybody runs to the White Stone movie theater. Bam acts like he's the superstar. And a whole fight breaks out. But all God Body stood to the side because God Body was just pretty much saying, we're not involved with this. We don't move like that. So then that's, you know, the beef started with God Body and Zulu. You know, and it keeps on and everything, but it's just you know, there's a lot of funny things that you know, between Yoda, Bam, you know,
Hard self. I mean to cut you off. When I was talking to you earlier, the guy name was Yoda.
Yeah, that's what Malik was telling me. That he said,
I was trying to figure out his name was Yoda. That's who I met before I met Bam, Yoda.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to cut your wisdom off, but Yoda, for everyone who doesn't know, is the home in Teaneck, New Jersey, who was hiding Afrika Bambaataa when the allegations first came out, when the John Doe lawsuit, I should say, was filed. And I won't reveal the source, found out exactly where Afrika Bambaataa was, at Yoda's house in Teaneck, New Jersey. And that's how Bambaataa was able to be served. They keep saying he was not served. He was served at Yoda's house. Go right ahead, Brother T.
Yeah, so you know, Muhammad, Ahmed would be very quiet. Me and Ahmed were cool. Okay. But there's a lot of things that he was quiet to, because there's times I asked Ahmed, I'm like, yo, I've never seen him with a woman.
Ahmed know what was happening. Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, Bambaataa spared no one.
And
I don't care what any of these dudes say.
you know, and you know, he say, oh yeah, he's got girls, whatever. And I would, you know, I give him the side eye, like, man, come on. Okay. But my thing with me is I don't deal with speculation. I don't deal with allegations. I deal with something factual. Okay. So if I'm just, you know, everybody hears rumors about somebody. Okay. But the simple thing is I'm that type of person. It's got to be in front of my face. Okay. Because if we just deal in life with speculation and allegations, we ain't getting anywhere. You know, so it's just that day I happened, you know, and you know, his line was, everybody does it, T. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool when my fist went across your face.
And that's the thing, Brother T, is for Bambaataa to have done that in an apartment full of people, the same way he had those children that
a lot of people knew. A lot of people knew.
Yeah, for him to just do that, like in front of everybody.
A lot of people. It's like this. He knew who to do it around and who not to do it around.
He was trying you, though.
He tried, but I'm not the one to be tried with. Not with that. I wasn't raised like that.
Excuse me.
I understand.
You know, so
I just want to say something to the sisters who keep about saluting to the brothers up here. Don't y'all love it? I just love it. And I was gonna stay off camera and just listen, but I was like, well, that'd be rude. So I'm here, but yeah.
Yo, peace to the queens.
We love hearing you guys with your wisdom, and
so it's like
and all of that.
Yeah. So it's like you know, were there things going on there that I was just like, man, I've caught a couple of the females, the female, queens in Zulu looking at a book and all that shit. I was like, whatever, it's females. Okay. Did they try to make an all-female chapter to do certain things? Yes, because they try to recruit out of my chapter. And I said, hell no.
So
I told those
if you all
girls
don't know what Brother T is referring to, I heard through several people that they wanted to start an all-female chapter to get into the prostitution business, and they were already extorting people. They were running cocaine, guns. This is not the whole Zulu nation, but certain of them wanted to start an all-female chapter so they could get into the prostitution business. And several of the Zulu women, if you notice, this is a very male-dominated conversation. Not today, but just period. And some of them have disclosed to me what happened to them, and they may not have been like in the Bambaataa situation, but they were also forcibly assaulted.
All right, like I'm gonna say this real quick. Any other woman that want to speak, I bring them on platform. You know what I'm saying? My platform is universal, so I bring them on platform as well as your welcome, Lila Wills. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yes,
that was peace, because I'm gonna keep it real. I got the Cash App. I'm like, who was this? You know what I thought it was some funny business at first. And then I asked Cuba Link about you, my brother Cuba Link. Shout out to Cuba Link.
Shout.
Asked my bro Star about you. And Star told me who you was. I like, you know what? I do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's to empower our people, man. Because we've been so led astray, and like I said, a lot of women are easily led astray. How the lesson say? They're easy led astray, but hard to be led in the right direction.
Yeah, easy to lead in the wrong direction. Hard to lead in the right direction. Easy to lead in the wrong direction. And that's the 85 all around. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Brother T. Thank you. We just cut you.
Yeah, so I know.
My apologies, brother.
I was all in a train of thought. Now I got to return, get my thought back again.
Trying to recruit those sisters.
I'm kind of tired too today. Been at the beach with my daughter, and
stop bragging.
Trying to have my days with her.
Stop bragging about the beach. You were saying that they were trying to recruit women from your chapter, the young women from your chapter.
Yeah, because I had high school girls also in my chapter. Okay, so besides with what you just stated, they also wanted to use the girls to infiltrate like Latin Kings, Nietas, La Familia, and so on and so forth. All right, but knowing that of what was going on, I told them, hell no, you ain't using these girls for this. Okay, so I pretty much kept my chapter as far away from Bronx River during those times. Except for like BO would call me up and be like, hey, I need somebody for security, or are you in town? Because at that time I was still in the military. And yeah, I'm in town. All right, we're gonna be at this club, meet us over there. Well, who's gonna be there? Bam's gonna be there, so and so's gonna be there. All right, I'll be right over there. Fine and dandy, get my money and leave at the end of the night. After when that situation happened, that whole fight, BO did show up to the apartment. Okay. They spoke to BO. I spoke to BO. The only, reason why Zulu pretty much did not come after me is because BO knew who my older brother was.
I was going to say, did you want to talk
and
about
it was like, yeah, we're not going to mess with him. Okay. Because that's a whole one-man army that's going to come after us.
And Bambaataa was the one in violation. It wasn't like you violated.
And what's crazy is it was after this whole situation is where I found out my older brother, him and Bam went at it over something, with the whole fight at the White Stone movie theater, because my older brother got bodied. And in the apartment at Bronx River, Bam had he ran himself to another room because my brother went after him. I made everything, people being there, dope on the table and everything at that time, because weed was the main selling point. And you know, I didn't know about it till years down the road. So, but at the end of the day, you know, TC did see me leaving. TC also knows who my older brother is, and used to hang out with my older brother. And before TC was murdered, you know, TC called me up and was like, "Yo, that was that night that you went out the back of the building?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "I wish I was upstairs." I was like, "Ain't nothing you were gonna do." I told TC to, you know, right on the phone. I said, "There's nothing that you were gonna do. None of y'all were gonna do anything. Y'all all knew about this."
Yeah, when TC told me about it, it wasn't like he would have done anything, but he was just
Yeah.
like, I didn't know what happened, you know.
Now years down the road, you know, Manny did see me, because I know Manny was still part of Zulu. Manny saw me. He was like, "Yo, you know, come back to Zulu. We need you. This and that." I said, "I'm never going back to that. You know, yeah, I really want to say the word, but you know, that alphabet stuff.
Already. Yeah.
You know, that alphabet stuff. I'm not going back to that. You know, once I saw what I saw, I was like, that's it. You want to go deal with that? You go deal with that." And then, you know, down the road, I found out he went to Atlanta also with Bambaataa to Dr. York and all that stuff.
I have a lot of pictures of people who have made that trip with Bambaataa.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about the Atlanta with Dr. York with Afrika Bambaataa, and I was telling him the things I seen when I was with DJ Red Alert, part stuff, brother. And when I seen, it was horrific. I never worked for DJ Red Alert again, because I felt as though he put me in a person put you in a catch-22.
Yes.
You got me around all this. You don't want me to say anything. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is, right, because just recently, I'll say about a month ago, I had it out with some Hebrew Israelites.
Me too, like a couple months ago.
And you already know how they are.
Yeah, for real, God.
You know, oh, you don't know what I know. You don't know what I know. You're talking to a person who's got over 15 freaking years in the military, and you're going to try to tell me how the military runs? And yet you've never been there? Are you out of your mind? Right? So him and I went at it, and I said, okay, who started the Hebrew Israelites? Oh, you know, it's in scripture. I was like, no, who started it? Because somebody's got to start it.
Facts.
All right? He don't know. I said, oh yeah, his last name is Crowdy. He was Pentecostal. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Then I turned it around on him. I said, yo, I was like, you know how bad it is that y'all run your mouths in the street talking about you Hebrew and using a Christian Bible. All right. You ain't reading nothing out of the Torah, but you're screaming at everybody in the street using a goddamn Christian Bible. All right. I said, what about your sect your sect in New Jersey that was found guilty on fraud, wire fraud, millions? What about Dr. York? Because Dr. York is a sect. What about Yahweh ben Yahweh? Because Yahweh ben Yahweh is a sect of Hebrew Israelites. I dropped that, you know, and you know how we get, all right? And then I brought it back up. I said, you know, it's so bad that I wasn't there at Mecca. Okay, but I know those who were there at Mecca when y'all pressed a young God. And if it wasn't for PRT, Poor Righteous Teachers, to get involved.
Peace to the guys from New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey. Indeed.
Right.
I remember
there was going to be some serious issues, because you got God Body that was coming at you, and FOY was getting involved in that one.
Yeah.
Never seen that person again.
Yo, and what I want to say is, like I said, a couple of months ago, I live in Philly now. Born and raised up in New Jersey. I live in Philly now, and I was getting on a train. I was about to get on a train to come home from my Justice Cypher Born, right? my job. And they see in my medallion, I always wear my, I wear my universal flag with my jackets, whatever. He was like, so you think you God? I was like, think is not knowing, brother. What you mean? He was like, well, I stole lessons from the Israelites. I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, you deaf, double blind. So I'm going to spin off from the brother, whatever. He kept talking. The only reason I stopped, I kept going was because one of the guys at work was like, yo, boom, come on, let's go, bro. He was like, let's get back home. Because, like I said, I'm an opposing figure sometimes. And not just mentally or how I speak, it's the way I'm built out and my physical stature. And he was like, they're gonna shoot you, God. They ain't gonna fight you. I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I sped off, but he came at me with that too. And I was like, they got these big bullhorns and these speakers and these microphones. They the false prophets.
And it's mind-boggling how,
want to say some of ours here in Chicago are awesome. Some are nuts. So yeah, some of these sects, but I don't really want to get in too much into religion right now. It's very, very divisive, and we don't know who's watching, and we don't want to really offend people, and
You know me, Layla. I'll offend everybody. I don't know.
I don't.
But one thing, Brother T, that I think that you could really shed some light on, and I'm so glad to hear your little one back there, is the trafficking aspect, and I just want to throw something in, but we don't have to go down this road. But the women along the border and just this whole trafficking thing and the Diddy trafficking. And people have a different idea. It's just the transport of children or persons, like from one apartment to the other. It doesn't have to be over.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off like this, right? Bam used to run his mouth. Okay, Russell Simmons, Diddy, damn, I forgot to give you video. Everybody, we all knew R. Kelly was doing some.
We all know. Hold up, and let's see. Let's talk about Karis One. We can bring him up too.
I've never. Okay, so with him, the only whenever I would see him was a head nod and kept it moving. Okay, so I really never spoke with him. Right. Others in the industry I've spoken to, of course, Tribe Called Quest. Every time they saw me, it was like, yo, what's going on? Da 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 da. Somebody in there is one of those two.
Yo, let me tell you something. A lot of people don't understand why Phife Dawg left the Tribe Called Quest. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about music. It was about the Zulu Nation. A lot of people don't know Phife Dawg had knowledge of self. He's a 5% as well. And he wasn't with the stuff that was going Afrika Bambaataa had going on.
I'll say it like this: Angie Martinez, you're lying. So,
well, Angie Martinez, I don't know. Tell me what Angie Martinez said. I didn't hear that.
Angie Martinez dated Q-Tip. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
you already know where I'm going to go with that.
And do you all know that Q-Tip is on is he still in the chat? I don't know. Q-Tip was actively recruiting for the Zulu Nation right before the allegations came out. He was the one. He said, I'm in talks with Nas. I'm in talks with this one. Lil Wayne just joined. He was actively recruiting because they were trying to get behind some George Floyd kind of stuff. And then
I'm not. When
the allegations came out, he went totally silent.
When it comes to the Lil Wayne stuff, I'm not surprised at that because what grown man kisses another grown man on the lips?
Right.
I was at the Universal. I have pictures and I have video footage of that Universal when Q-Tip showed up there, and I took issue with it. Like it was this meet. You gotta understand.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Cuban. This is who has that video on.
Yeah, it does. He sent it to me.
Okay, go right ahead, Cuban. Sorry.
Okay, so he used to be one of the chapters I was in was in Jersey, and he was in the chapter that I was in. So you know, we know each other, a lot of these people and shit. So I took issue with it. I took issue for number one that I keep saying that Zulu Nation has poor public relations skills.
Oh my God.
Right? So you gotta understand they broke up into departments, right? So I was in the spokesman department. So you had the world spokesman, which was TC was a world spokesman at one point, but there was a brother prior to him named Tretch. Tretch was the world spokesman.
Tretch from East Orange, yeah.
And then TC, right? From TC is Kamazi. So there was 4 national spokesmen. That's the spokesman's department to address fucking Lil Wayne or Jimmy Fallon or whoever else they want to make honorary Zulus, right? So a lot of us took issue with it because it was like, what the fuck is an honorary Zulu? You know, like people that joined it, you understand some people, they went through different things to be members, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was legal or illegal. So we look at it like the shit we may have done and went through, and you just an honorary member. So a lot of us took issue with it. So Pepsi told me to shut my mouth at the meeting, right? Because I was talking to myself out loud. So he came, he said his speech. And what have we seen from since then of anything with Lil Wayne and Zulu Nation? Jimmy Fallon, Joey Badass, all these different people. Like it was a thing. It was a tactic to recruit people that were popular. So it's like, oh, Lil Wayne joined, I'm gonna join. It was fucking retarded.
Well, that's what cults do. They attract and they go after high profile individuals who have a following because each fish has a coin in its mouth. And so you will go after a big fish because he will bring a school of little fish. What's she saying?
Light and sweet.
Oh, she just had her first cup of coffee.
Uh-oh. At this hour, you'll be sorry. You're gonna be sorry.
Okay.
You're gonna be
sorry. It's a Puerto Rican rite of passage.
At this night, you'll be sorry.
Hey, we drink coffee all day, all night.
Okay. I just made me some too.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to tell you all is that I heard also from older members of the Zulu Nation after all of this hit, the Zulu Nation was about to get into the Church of Scientology. Did you all know that? That they started?
I was already gone from that. So
this was in recent years. You were totally gone.
I don't know about that, but I can tell you that I've seen my own 2 eyes, Lance Taylor in his infamous sweatpants and Croc shoes. The National Black Theater go into the Scientology spot they had that the manager of the Black Theater rented out space to, right? So they had a spot there. And this motherfucker goes in to get audited. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm getting audited. And I'm like, yo, it's just a cult. And you know, he started his fucking Dr. Port shit. And I was just like, you know, all right, go get audited.
So I know Layla with the question with sex trafficking, human trafficking and everything.
Oh yeah, see, we just go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm still involved on that aspect. You know, with other veterans on you know, trying to find these kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there are a lot of kids that are you know, brought into that. A lot of the guys, we've had success, but we had success with the prior administration. This administration doesn't want to talk to us.
And you know the crazy thing about that is when I heard about the sex trafficking, it was years ago, right? And a lot of it started in Chicago. That's what I heard. It was a lot of missing kids in Chicago.
Well, you got to look at it like this, right? We got so many hundreds of thousands of kids missing. I would say maybe about 40 to 50% are runaways. Okay. And the rest are taken or sold into it, or you know how it happens overseas. So you're looking at almost 1 million kids a year, and nobody bats an eye. Right.
And
So
yeah.
the group, I'm not going to say their name because they're pretty much waiting on this, how this election's running.
Mm.
Okay. Prior to the previous administration, that administration didn't really want to talk to them either. Now these are, we're all vets. The guys that actually do the operations are former SEALs, Green Berets, members of, former members of Delta. They just don't do it here. They go to other countries to get kids back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've had a good success rate.
Mm-hmm.
With the previous administration, not for nothing, it was kept quiet. The previous administration was funding us also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which was I'm not going to say weird or anything out of nature on that, but take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
The previous administration was like, "Yo, go get these kids."
Yeah. I just want to say also that I was at an event the other day here in Chicago, and there's even with the migrants, there's a lot of women and children who are being brought here against their will, and they are coming up missing, and they're finding a lot of dead women. I forget the name. You know how we have the name fratricide, homicide. I forgot the name that they say for the killing of women. So it is still a crisis, and women and children still need to be protected. I would like to address this person, Roger, who's asking, do we have any thoughts as far as the allegations against X-Clan and Brother J and Professor X?
All right, so
at the end of this video, I will put a link in the comment section to an article that I wrote several years ago when Patrice Griffin, she visited us on our last live stream in the beginning. Patrice, you can hear from Patrice herself. So Patrice Griffin filed a lawsuit with the Child Victims Act. She was an activist to help this legislation get passed, and she filed a lawsuit against the surviving member of X-Clan. Isn't it something that just about all of them are gone? The last remaining members would be Brother J and Paradise, but Paradise is not a defendant in the case, and it was horrible. A horrible case of underage abuse. And anyway, the article is very much in depth. Patrice's case is still going on, but she did reveal in our last live stream that she did receive the default judgment against Brother J because Brother J did not defend himself in court. But there are other defendants, and it's still going on. So that is what is happening with X-Clan. And it's funny how X-Clan spent a lot of time with Afrika Bambaataa.
Oh yeah.
And I believe Dr. York.
Well, I remember Star. I was talking to Star one day, and he got Patrice on the line, and they were asking me what's the roundabouts of how to get a lawsuit going. Okay, and I broke it down to her. It was like, yeah, I don't know about the state right now, because at the state, New York did not extend the Victims Act. It still had a statute of limitations. I told her, it was like, your best bet, but it's going to be a hard one, is you're going to have to go to the feds on this. So I do remember talking to her and trying to guide her as best as I could. And a lot of that is, I still have friends in Homeland Security.
Yeah, well, she it has been a rough road. We will hear more from her, and I know she has a lot of supporters, and so I'm just gonna leave it there. But this has been a journey, for her and other survivors, and some, these cases, and they only have about 13 judges working these cases. I mean, it's just horrible how long these things take. But we will make sure Patrice knows that you all asked about her, and whenever she's ready, she'll talk more about it. But you can hear from her in our last live stream in the very beginning. So are there any other topics you all want to cover? And I'm not rushing anybody, but
Diddy's done for.
Yeah,
I read the whole indictment. He's done for. I'm just waiting to see who's going to cry on.
Yeah.
He's looking at 20 for RICO. He's got weapons charges, removing serial numbers off a rifle, rifles,
drug charges.
The sex trafficking charges, drug charges, bribery, obstruction of justice. He's looking at
Hold up,
60 years.
15 years of life, they said, but we also got now Ray J coming out defending Diddy too now. And Ray J
my God.
Yeah, well, it's not 15 because RICO's an automatic 20.
Well, they said 15 for
each. They said 15 to life.
For each charge.
Yeah.
Ray J needs to take a seat. Okay. I just got on Chris Cuomo for having Ray J on there speaking for hip hop about Diddy. I'm like, you all can see my comment in there on their video. But I worked in the business in New York, in Midtown, and I am glued to this Diddy story. I really am. And but some of these people just go so fast. Like if you work all day, you can't know what's going on. But I recommend you go to Leak You's channel because she reads these. Whose phone is that? Needs to mute. Brother T, is that your daughter?
No, that's not my phone.
Oh, okay. So anyway, she reads these indictments if you like information. Like for me, I get the commentary and all that, but sometimes you need the actual information on what is going on here and to catch up with everything. Oh, Cuban.
Well, a lot of that has to do with like
Cuban.
Like I'm on a previous podcast. They asked me about certain aspects of that investigation. They wanted to know why HSI, Homeland Security, was involved. Homeland Security does not get involved predominantly on cases like this unless one, there's international stuff going on. Two, somebody big is in those videos. That's why they're involved. Okay, so whoever is on those videos or, understand that Diddy has homes in other countries, Homeland Security is going to get involved along with Interpol. Okay. We all know Andrew Tate is going through his stuff in a country he said ain't never going to happen. And he's getting slammed over there for sex trafficking and everything else. So, it's small steps. It's hard steps to get governments to start pushing these matters.
Well, I need to ask.
Some governments are pushing these matters. I
need to ask you something right here and right now. I'm going to make you answer on behalf of the government right now. Okay.
Go ahead.
Now,
even though I'm retired.
From what I understand, say that again.
Even though I'm retired.
I know. So from what I understand, which I try to tell people, in the case of Afrika Bambaataa, we cannot make the feds do anything. Okay, you can't call the feds like 911 and then the Department of Justice shows up. It's like they have if I understand this correctly, the U.S. attorney has to approve the investigation, and then they investigate, and then there's an arrest. But we can't make them, unless there is a public outcry. So I'm going to stop right there and let you answer that. And then I want to come back to the public on you guys. Like, this isn't my job. Like, I do as much as I possibly can, but I'm one person and who they're trying to make it look like I'm some kind of psycho who can't leave Bambaataa alone. So you guys have to help. So go right ahead, Brother T.
All right. So when it comes to the federal side of the house, if they're not particularly looking into something, you have to show up with so much proof, witnesses, documentation, pictures for the feds to even look at it. Because the feds love slam dunks. They don't like losing cases.
So, but they've investigated historic cases before. Sometimes I think it's because of a lot of things that have gone on YouTube, which is why the attorney dropped Dum Dum, because they didn't think it was something they could put their teeth into. Like, you're wavering, you're pump faking.
Yeah, because what it falls down to is, what they started doing with and it really started with the Enron case. So I don't know if you remember with the Enron, the pyramid scheme that company was doing and stealing money from investors and pension funds and all that stuff. It started becoming shoot. There's a framing of how it's said. Guilty by public opinion.
Let's just say goodnight to Chuck. He has to leave us, and I sent a text that was real rude that he just left us like that. Thank you, Chuck.
I appreciate you
as always.
I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Rest well, Lord. Rest well.
I will. I appreciate you, brother. I gotta go.
Okay. He just came home from work when I bum rushed him.
So what it is it's guilty by public opinion, or you could say trial by public opinion. Okay. That's what pretty much goes on now. Is everything it gets lambasted all over social media and everything, and you really don't have a fair trial. So there's aspects of district attorneys or attorney generals of the state, or U.S. attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys, where they kind of step back because on the federal side, they don't like knowing they're investigating you.
Okay, now. All right, now. Okay.
They don't like that.
There.
They don't want it known.
If the feds aren't actively, let's say, interviewing people, does that mean they're not investigating necessarily?
No. Yeah. So when it comes to the Fed side, it's not like your local law enforcement. They'll do an investigation and they'll make an arrest. The feds like doing their investigations 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they come and take you. Okay, so because they deal with slam dunks. You're either gonna plead guilty, you're gonna be a snitch and get put on WITSEC, or you're gonna go to trial and you're gonna lose. Because we understand the federal government, Department of Justice, has a 97% conviction rate. They don't like losing, and if they lose, we all know what happened to John Gotti. They're gonna come after you again, come after you again, and come after you again till it's done.
Right. Yeah, they can get you on some. Okay, I have my last question of the evening, which is that this John Doe case has been sitting, and it's not the only case. So I don't want to make people think that this is the only case just sitting there, but this case has been sitting there. It was filed 3 years ago. Bambaataa has not responded to the case. The lawyer has written the judge several times and filed a motion for the default judgment, and it's just sitting there as if the judge has not even. The judge was looking, and this is like the third judge because they keep moving these judges around.
Okay,
and it's like the judge, it's just sitting there, like the judge hasn't even seen it. So when I unfortunately am in litigation with Dum Dum for trying to steal our organization, honey, I filed my stuff, but I'm in federal court. So this is the Supreme Court. Do you think? Here's the question.
Okay.
Ronald Savage has mentioned several people in government, including the assistant district attorney. And after he talks about these people, 2 weeks later, exactly what he said happens. So, like, I got a letter from the ADA 2 weeks after he said what the ADA was going to say to me. And that's exactly what happened. Do you think the Zulus have somebody in Bronx Supreme Court that's keeping this case at the bottom of the stack.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And what can we do to counteract that?
Have it moved.
Yeah. Have it moved to another
location outside of New York City.
Move it to Jersey. Jersey.
No, it's a state case. It's that John Doe case is a state case, so it has to be moved either to Long Island, and I wouldn't even say Long Island because a lot of Zulus are there. They would have to go all the way upstate.
Also, are you talking about the John Doe that allegedly stabbed Bambaataa?
No, not that.
No.
No.
Okay, all right.
It's a John Doe that was trafficked, according to the lawsuit, by the hands of Afrika Bambaataa to other men for money. And remember, we were talking about they wanted to get into the prostitution business allegedly, but this was a 12-year-old, and he filed a lawsuit against Afrika Bambaataa. And these Zulus are on a disinformation campaign, which is why they staged that comeback of Bambaataa at Crotona Park, which is why Flex did what he did the other day, and which is why they took our organization's name to make it about alcoholics and other survivors.
That's okay. So when it comes to him, not Bam Dusky, but him, I'm just gonna call him him.
Okay.
Okay. The problem is he's worked in the DNC in New York.
Yeah.
All right. And the DNC is the Democratic National Committee. Okay. So, he has ties within that organization by itself, just like I went to high school with Ruben Diaz Jr.
Oh, God.
And he came to me, when they were, when he was running for office and he saw I got his vote. I was like, you sure about that? I was like, don't think I don't know what you were doing in school, because I knew what the hell you were doing. And I know how you graduated, your father.
And he's on the board of that museum.
Yeah. Because you skipped school as much as I skipped school. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were both smoking L's, man. Don't come to me with that shit. Like,
he's on the board of that museum.
Yeah.
And the person who is on his administration, Vanessa Gibson, is the Bronx Borough president. And she just gave that museum $1 million of taxpayer dollars after the whole expose and the open lawsuit and everything.
Okay, so the problem is the problem. All right, so the problem is within this country, right, is attention span. Right, which this is one of the problems of the country. So, because of social media, because of national news, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, when you being bombarded 24/7, you go from one thing, you go, oh damn, I don't like that, and then 5 minutes later, you're like, you just totally forgot about that. Okay, so that when I'm on other podcasts,
in this case, it is a purposeful disinformation campaign. That's why Flex went on there and said that Ronald Savage cleared Bambaataa of being a pedophile. What?
All right, so disregard everybody else.
Yeah, and an open case.
Yeah, what? Like how stupid are you?
Yeah,
but a lot of the things is like a lot of people don't understand that Zulu, aka the first family of hip hop, all right, extort money from other artists. All right, they've been doing that for years. Okay, and like I say, and I don't care if I hurt feelings. A lot of this country is dumb
and passive. People, for the most part, people are passive. People will walk by a piece of trash. They will, somebody needs to fix that. Somebody needs to call this one. Like, people are passive.
Yeah, well, that's a New York thing. We mind our business. But, when it comes to kids, we shouldn't be minding our business.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's the 85. Yeah. That's just what it is. Go ahead. Divine wanted to say something, and then we will wrap up. We all have to work tomorrow. Well, some people do, Brother T.
Well, I'm off tomorrow, so I want to ask this. How has my song handled the situation? Because I haven't seen him talking about it too much.
I'm not in New York anymore. I did live in the same building as my song did on Cedric Ave, right across the street from the reservoir. So, ever since my father moved from over there, I'd never, stepped foot over there to Cedric Ave like that. The only thing I'm doing now is arguing with FBAs about how hip hop all started, but that's a whole other discussion. And and then we have our quote unquote Lord Jamal preaching FBA, and one of the elders already dismissed him. So I don't know if you know about that one.
No, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
I know. All right, I'm sorry. I know
he went flat Earth too. He went flat Earth too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's put and I do talk to Sunez Allah.
Thank you for the apps, Sabre.
And and it's the same thing. Like you're being asked for proof on flat Earth, and you don't give it, but yet you're still running it, and you're dismissing all the teachings the Father gave us.
True indeed. But see, I fell out with Lord Jamal's when I seen him have that clown from every PA on his platform.
Yeah,
that clown platform, and this guy, I'm gonna keep it real.
Who's that clown? What clown?
Gully the real Gully TV.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real. When I came out with my platform in 2016, 2017, I had put him in my bed. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to cover the grades a little bit at the time. 2 days later, Gully TV put the hen in his bed. Gully TV is supposed to be Muslim. He was never a 5%er. Well, I came home from the feds in 2020. Gully got this big universal flag on his chest, talking about he's God body. But you never saw no degree, bro. And Lord Jamal had him on his platform. And me and Lord Jamal built. I was like, yo, come on my platform. I'm like, you can put this clown Gully TV on your platform. You can go on Vlad and all that, but you can come on your righteous brother. They've been at parliaments to show and prove with your platform. I fell for him like that. I was like, I can't deal with him anymore. Then I started seeing a lot of the stuff he was saying, a lot of the way he was moving. I was like, this guy, I don't know what's up with his degrees, but my degrees don't say none of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was True Born Allah that freaking dismissed him.
Oh, True Born, he in Atlanta.
True
now,
Born,
right?
and he made the statement. Yeah, he's I don't know what he's up to. No, True Born my Allah, that's Mecca.
Yeah, Mecca now. Oh, I thought he had moved to Georgia.
No, so I remember him from Mecca. So that's an elder.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. When you got an elder like that talking that, there's gonna be somebody young that's gonna rip that flag off of you.
Yeah, Umala put a lot of guys on blast too. When I saw Umala, he put a lot of guys on blast too, like they wasn't around the Zach. And I went to the school. I went to the school of Allah, and I was seeing how it was. I just went back there recently, man. I'm like, all these guys,
the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same. But all these guys they're wearing these universal flags that are rich entertainers, and they're not putting money towards the school. I feel stepped away about that, bro. I always did.
A lot of stuff.
Is that a landmark? Is the school a landmark?
Yes.
Yeah, in Mecca. Yeah.
Landmark.
Okay, good. I was just gonna go back to the MySon thing, and I don't know him, and I guess I don't really keep track, but I've never talked to him about this. I've never talked to him about
I've never, like I said, I haven't seen you. I know he's younger than me, but since the day my father moved out of Cedric Ave, I don't even step foot over there unless I have to. But I'm not in New York anymore, so I got out of there when I saw the signs years ago how New York was going.
All right, that's peace.
Okay, well, I just want to I'll just look one more time, and yeah. So thank you, Born Divine, for being my co-host and special guest today.
No problem.
Thank you. We must do this again as things continue. And are we able to consider you as part of our movement? Hip hop stands with survivors.
Always.
Thank you. Thank you. And Brother T, this was a very special pleasure for you to come up. And, so thank you, for taking time to talk to us about all these things. And Chuck Morgan and Cuban Crisis and Brother Aton and everyone who joined us in the chat. And we'll have more of these conversations. I had told you guys we weren't going to do weekends anymore, but I'm still behind on work. So I had to do it on the weekend.
So, lastly, thank you for having me on.
Say your piece before we, Go ahead, Brother.
So, thank you for having me on. Another thing too, a lot of my federal information is going to be limited. A lot of guys that, I would, AKA my secret squirrels, have retired because they didn't like how this administration was going. These are guys with 30 some odd years, in intelligence and everything that, there's stuff that I could sit down and talk about, but, just put it like this, that meeting when Trump in 2020 for the 2020 stuff with General Flynn and Sidney Powell and that whole argument of martial law. I knew about that. Let's see, that I was spoken to it because we don't talk over the phones either.
Yeah.
I was spoken to about that, and I was on another podcast that I helped build up. And we broke that information out. Okay, we broke that information out in the afternoon. That person did a live podcast for other things that were going on, and the media broke it out at 11 p.m. Okay, so that podcast, they don't even question me with what I know that goes on up in DC. But these are guys, like I said, 30 plus years, between the ones I know, they had like a combined 200 years of government service. And, I know you, Layla, you would call me up and I would say, okay, you got to talk to this one. You got to call this one over here, XYZ. They're gone. Okay. So what I have left is very minimal up in DC right now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to work it from the state side and and the, my federal lawsuit, make no mistake, honey, make no mistake.
Oh, that's going to be a slam dunk for you.
Make no mistake that he used Mickey Benson's address.
That's stupid.
On my witness list, okay?
Mickey Benson, yeah.
Co-founder of the Zulu Nation and the Universal Hip Hop Museum and the orchestrator of this whole thing, this whole comeback.
So the other thing I was going to bring up too with SB, A1949A, with the law change that we were trying to push in New York, that was supposed to be voted on by the state assembly in January from the last time I spoke to you. All that got put on hold because of all of Trump's cases. Okay, which I kind of figured once that DA in Manhattan, and I'm sitting there going, it's a misdemeanor. Like you're bringing it was crazy, but it is what it is on how they're trying to do things. And I kept telling everybody, leave the man alone. He'll bury himself. You keep going after him, you're going to make him stronger.
Yeah.
His mouth was his own worst enemy.
Yeah. Okay. Before Born Divine says his piece, I just want to say one last thing is that women, so somebody made a comment on why aren't more sisters supporting you, and where do women are supporting me. Okay. We are together, but we fall back and we love to see you guys on here and talking and being protective. And so, but the women are here. We talk, we exchange info, we on it. Okay. The women are here, but we just all fall back. So I just want to thank you again, because you can see the reaction for them, because if you listen to the banter, you will see how this whole situation has been handled. So I just wanted to say on behalf of all the women in the house, thank you again. Go ahead. Born Divine, say your piece.
All right, peace. I appreciate the I appreciate being here closer with you, and I thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate God. I appreciate building with you. You know what I'm saying? And like be like thinking like, Lord, you there?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to also my little brother, Cross Your Heart. He been up here. He supported, you know, showing love. He's, you know, Cross Your Heart. His podcast, Cross the Plug podcast, is a good podcast. He do a lot of uplifting and righteous things too. He more basically on the kids and things of that nature. So
this is it, right?
That's it right there. Yes. And I also want to say, yo, for everybody who believes in Black power and Black love, that's all we're here for, to uplift our people. And for secondly, when people say, why is there more women on the platform? Because these women that's now on the platform, they listen. They gotta listen to be led. Most women wants to be led. They don't want to be the forefront. They're the man's backbone, not the man's eyes. Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's all. Peace. Yo, make sure y'all subscribe to my channel, the King New Jersey, Btbtv, Mr. Eastwick. I do hip-hop, gossip. I interview hip-hop artists, ex-gangsters from all over the country. And I also be with my boy Cross doing shows. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to all of us. Big Dog, subscribe to him if you got a platform. You know what I'm saying? And let's do this again.
Yes.
I'll get up with you.
Yeah,
No
it's
doubt.
it's not too late for our people, everyone. Never get discouraged because the loudest voices are the most ignorant. There are plenty of great people. I'm surrounded by great people. I meet more great people every time. So it's never too late for us. And with that, I will say peace and good night.
Peace.